That means you can break the process. But here what happened, the CPU you cannot taken away from the running process. CPU cannot taken away from the running process, whereas here CPU can take away. This is one other important component. Now here the advantage of the preemptive scheduling is that you can prioritize the scheduling, because you see here you are having P1, here having P2, P3, but here what happened, once it starts it has to end. So here you cannot make the not delete or interrupt. You have seen that whenever you are updating your mobile operating system command, whenever you are receiving in the in your mobile, once you give the OK command, after that you cannot go use the mobile for any other purpose unless and until that particular program, everything is being loaded into your systems and it is being updated. In the preemptive schedulings, you have to remember that the waiting time and response is less, whereas here you will find that waiting time and response is more. Now why it is less and why it is more? Because you have to remember that once this particular process is completed, if a second process comes, it is waiting for this particular CPU, because CPU is processing. In this case what happened, you instead of going from here to here, you have taken one bus. So this is one process. You know that this process will not this process can go up to here, but what you did, no, you go up to here, then you take the another process, that's why waiting time and the response is less here. P2 can immediately active after the P1 is active. P3 is immediately active after P2 is active. So this particular methods is normally being used for making the response time lesser here, and it is higher. Another things I just want to add in continuations to this one is that basically in the case of a preemptive conditions, preemptive situations, you will find that it has a high priority process. That means whenever you find if a P1 is high, you give it as a high priority. Then if you find the P3 is high, you give that as the next high priority. If you find P6 is high, you give the third. Then you find a P2 is high, then you give it as a fourth. So like that, you can prioritize the process based on the priorities. This you categorized it as a word priority. But in the case of a non-preemptive, the process is long. So if the process is long, then CPU will be having in the case of a non-preemptive situations, what happens? Your CPU has to wait from starting to end. So what happens? The next step is, suppose this is P1 process, the next process, say it has to do only small time, it has to wait. So what happened? The CPU utilizations is less. It is just like you have experienced that when you go to the supermarket and when you purchase something, normally the cashier, if he is a novel person, what he will do, he will see that somebody is waiting with the one item to purchase. So he will call that person and immediately make his bill and clear his payment and move away. So that particular mechanism is not possible in the case of a non-preemptive. Even if a person has to take a one items, he has to wait. So that is not done. But here, the same person with the one items, everything will be settled and he will be made to move. So that is known as a preemptive situations and non-preemptive. So this is having a flexibility, and this is having a rigidness. Apart from this particular thing is that it has having a good response time. Response time means when response means you are listening someone, so it is taking a response. You see, first priority, third priority. So that means it is taking all together. But this is what happened in this case. It is having a poor response, and apart from that, it is basically suitable for real time, whereas this is basically having a less real time scheduling. Good. Now these are the some of the basic points which I have put. But apart from this, when you see the cons or the disadvantage part in the preemptive is that when you have a more process, when you have a process, one process say P1, another process P2, so this increase the complexity. So here it is having a fairness in less complexity. Another thing is that since the process having a more utilizations, as I said, but throughput will be less, whereas in this case throughput will be good. I can put that though these 2 points I can take it in the advantage part, but if you see that this is, I have just made a comparison, but when you see this one is that I have mentioned that in this case this less real-time scheduling, you can put it back to here, the less real-time schedulings. And in this case another thing is that it has a bugs that will sometime freeze the software, and here every time you are having one issue is that you have to halt the process during switching over. That means because switching over, because you are one process to one process, you are then you are going to another process. So P1, P2. So this is the things. Whereas in this case, that situation is there. But bugs will freeze. That means you start from here to here. But if there is any problem is there, then you have to start from the. Whereas here, what happened? If anything, the time requirement is less. But here, the time requirement is very high. So these are the some of the very important points which I just want to share with respect to preemptive and non-preemptive schedulings. So in the next sessions, I will come with another good important topic. Thank you.